Welcome to the Advanced webinar. My name is Lois and I'm a Customer Success Manager at L1NDA. During this webinar, I will show you how to work with the surplus, shortfall and holiday balance in L1NDA. In case you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask these in the chat. Have fun! When an employee with a fixed hour contract calls in sick or goes on holiday, you can add these shifts in the red unproductive layer. This layer is meant for hours that are not being worked but do have to be paid out. The unproductive layer is only applicable for employees with a fixed hour contract. Sickness. When an employee with a fixed hour contract calls in sick, it is important to add the shift in the unproductive layer, after deleting the shifts from the schedule, of course. In order to add a shift, click on the plus icon in the unproductive layer and select the type of shift, sick. You can tick the box whole day as L1NDA Planner is aware of the amount of contract hour and work days. In the previous intermediate webinar, you can find more regarding contracts in L1NDA Planner. Holiday. When an employee with a fixed contract requests holiday, it is very important that this is added to the red unproductive layer. L1NDA Planner keeps track of holiday balance. An example. Anna has a fixed hour contract of 38 hours and works 5 days a week. She requests 3 weeks holiday. It is really important to only add 15 holidays for Anna and not the entire 3 weeks, as she already has 2 weekend days a week. You can tick the box whole day as L1NDA Planner is aware of her contract and will calculate exactly how many holiday hours need to be deducted from her balance. In case an employee with a 0-hour contract calls in sick or goes on holiday, you can simply delete the shifts from the schedule. Do not forget to publish these deleted shifts. For your own overview, you can add unavailability for this 0-hour contract. The staff view offers a great overview in order to see how many hours each employee is scheduled within a week. When enabling the staff view, you can see a variety of numbers in front of each employee. These numbers differ per contract. A fixed hour contract. Behind an employee with a fixed hour contract, you can see the amount of contract hours a week, for example 38. Underneath this, you can see the amount of plus or minus hours that this employee works this week. The number next to this is the total amount of plus or minus hours that this employee has built up. It is very important to keep track of these numbers in order to ensure that a fixed employee doesn't over or underwork the contract. You can save a lot of costs with this tool. For a 0-hour contract, whenever an employee has a 0-hour contract, you will see the total amount of scheduled hours in this week. This will help to divide the hours more equally amongst your team. As many of you already know, the new VAB law was introduced since the 1st of January 2020 within the hospitality industry. For instance, you have to schedule an employee with a 0-hour contract for at least 3 hours. Furthermore, the employer has to notify the flexible employee at least 4 days in advance about the scheduled shifts. If the employer cancels the shift within 4 days, the employee is entitled to salary. The contract is also partially changed. The employer and employee can both agree to 3 temporary contracts within 3 years. The following contract is automatically a fixed contract. Do you have any further questions about this new VAB law? Let us know in the chat. To calculate the surplus, shortfall and holiday balance, L1NDA Planner takes both the contract of your fixed employee as well as the red unproductive layer into account. The manager and planner can enter sickness, holiday or other leave in this layer. Both the surplus, shortfall balance as well as the holiday balance can be found in the back office section. I'll start with explaining the surplus, shortfall balance as this also clarifies the holiday balance. When clicking on the surplus shortfall balance, you will see a graph that shows an overview of the balance per employee. Scrolling down, you can see each surplus shortfall balance further explained. I'd recommend to click on the zoom in button in front of each employee, and I'll explain how to read this table. When you're zoomed into one employee, you can scroll down to the table of this particular employee, in this case Eric. This table shows the balance per week so you can exactly see how much was worked and when. I personally prefer to read the table from right to left, as this makes the calculation more clear. In the right green column you can see the holiday balance, so you always have a complete overview. The second column shows manual corrections that were made, which I will explain later. In the next column you can see how many hours Eric has to work each week according to his contract. In this case 38 hours. The next column shows the actual worked hours, and next up L1NDA Planner calculates how many surplus or shortfall hours were built up and when. Within the pink column you can see what the balance eventually is. If you scroll down you can see the totals on the date of today. In this case minus 25.73, which equals 3.4 working days. This means that Eric still has to work 3.4 days in order to match his contracted hours again. Whenever you retrieve the surplus shortfall balance in the middle of the week, L1NDA Planner makes the calculation of shortfall hours as the week has not been fully worked yet. You can solve this by clicking on the pink link, onvolledig. It is important to keep track of the surplus shortfall balance. When an employee, for example, cancels their contract and a lot of surplus hours were built up, you need to pay these out, or the employee needs to pay back salary in case of a large shortfall balance. Every fixed employee is entitled to holidays. It differs per industry how many days this contains. Furthermore, the amount of holidays differs per contract and the amount of hours the employee actually works. An employee normally builds 190 holidays a year in L1NDA Planner. When clicking on Holiday Balance in the green column, you will be sent straight through to the holiday balance. You can also find the holiday balance in back office. In the graph on the top you can see the holiday balance for all employees. When you zoom in, you will see a similar table as before. This is the holiday balance of Imane shown per week. I'd recommend to read this table from right to left. You can see the surplus shortfall balance on the right, which creates a nice overview. The second column shows manual corrections that were made, which I will explain later. The following column shows how many holiday hours were taken in already, shown per week. Imane took 24 holiday hours in week 7 of 2020. Furthermore, you can see in the next column that Imane builds 3.85 holiday hours each week. In the green column you can see the final holiday balance per week. When you scroll down you can find the totals of this employee. Imane can still take 193.32 holiday hours, which equals 24.2 workdays. As we mostly book our holidays at the beginning of each year, L1NDA Planner provides a tool that makes it easier to see exactly how many days you can still book your holiday. When you scroll back up, you can find of end 2020 on the top. As you can see here, Imane can still go 33 days on holiday in 2020. Whenever a mistake was made or you need to book in holiday hours from last year, you can make a manual correction. This works for both the surplus shortfall and holiday balance. In order to make a correction in one of these overviews, move your mouse to the correction column and click on the black triangle. A pop-up screen opens up in which you can add all the details. You may start with the date. On which date is this correction applicable? You can either select the date of when the mistake was made or simply choose the date of today. In the next column, you can fill in how many hours you need to add or deduct from this balance. In case you need to deduct hours, you can add a minus. In case you need to add hours, you can simply fill in the amount of hours. When you make a correction in the surplus shortfall balance, you can select a type of correction. Choose for normaal when you do not have an integration with a salary administration system. But when you do have an integration, you can choose for uitbetalen. so these hours will be sent to your accountant. We do have to edit this setting in your account, so please let us know if you'd like to enable this in the chat. Lastly, it is very important to add an explanation for this correction. This ensures that you, but also the employee, knows why certain hours were deducted or added. Do not forget to save this correction and you will see the correction straight away within this overview. You can also export these two overviews to an Excel sheet, useful for whenever an employee leaves the company. You can do this by clicking on the printer icon on the top right. Thank you for watching. I hope you've learned a lot and got to know even more features in L1NDA Planner. The next webinar will take it a step further, in which I will share more about statistics in both the schedule as well as in the back office. In case you have any further questions about this webinar, you can check out our support page. Have a nice day!